prepare yourself for the Ray world?
I remember. So these are obviously, as we all know, they're short stories written by Ray, and they've obviously been they've evolved a lot through the writing process, and we've tried to modernize it. And of course, my personal preparation was to, I think, like I really like following the script, and not the script but the page, I think, is really important, and what the vision is of course the captain of the ship, Shrijit Mukherjee. I think he really sort of brought things in order. Shantan, who in fact I spoke to the first time, who got me on board. So yeah, it was a culmination of a lot of teamwork. But the real prep, I think, really happened when I met my co-actors, and I mean, I think Shruti was the first one. Shweta, of course. I think same day we all met. No, Shruti, I shot with you, I think,
We
right?
did the photo shoot, yes.
Yeah, we did the photo shoot and all, and I think that was, the relationships are so important in this entire dynamic, especially our story, for Ipsit, that and for the others as well. But yeah, I had to make sure those are sorted, instead of me personally doing my own, Ganit.
Yeah, that's true. What Ali said is that yeah, you read the story and you understand what is expected of how you're trying to portray the story. But the real relationship started while after I met Ali, and then we got to know each other, and that comfort that needed to be a husband-wife relationship that needed to be shown on screen. That is where, when we read the lines together and then we started discussing different acting techniques, if you remember, Ali. And yeah, that's when the prep kind of started. That's what when I really got to connect with Amala a little more.
All right. So I have grown up watching a lot of Satyajit Ray films and grew up in a family where I also read a lot of Satyajit Ray short stories. Although I'm brought up in Mumbai, my Bengali roots are pretty strong. And culturally, of course, cinema, literature, and music is celebrated at home. So there has been a Ray influence on me in my formative years. So my first introduction to Ray was when I was a teenager. I watched Gupiga and Bagabain, followed by Shonar Kella. And then, of course, there was Devi and Charulata, the Oppo trilogy, Nayok, Jalsha Ghor, which is the music room, the chess player, which is Shatranj Ke Khiladi, his Hindi film, Hindi language film. For Ray, this anthology, the story that we are part of is called Forget Me Not, which is based on Satyajit Ray's short story, Bipin Chaudhary, and the memory lapse of Bipin Chaudhary. And this has been inspired from that story, and it's a retelling in a modern way. So like my previous association with Netflix was on Serious Men, which was also an adaptation of Manu Joseph's novel, which was as is adapted from book to screen to book to script to screen. But this is more like, the seed, like Srijit sir says, was a seed was taken from the story and build the stories and characters were like there were no female characters in the original text. So if you read the short story Bipin Chaudhary and his lapse of memory, there were no female characters. So the female characters were actually screen written, which is myself, Shruti Menon, and Anandita Bose. So a lot of characters were written, like for example, an Omkara by Vishal Bharadwaj. It's based on Othello, but it's inspired by Othello, and you've created a whole world when you're screenwriting it. Character-wise, my character's name is Maggie. I do this personal exercise on all my characters where I write a backstory to understand the person. So I wrote an entire backstory on Maggie. Where was she born? Who were her parents? What were her formative years? Right to what were her favorite TV shows and favorite color, to just understand who this person is. Because as an actor, if I don't know her, I don't know how to convince my audience so that you know her. And of course, after that, it's like marinating and then you cook it on set. So I prefer like just keeping it marinated, and then on set it's the rest of the cooking that happens, which is, of course, I think the director, the captain of the ship, the art direction, because the set is so beautiful, whatever the world that's created by our team, the costume, co-actors, Ali, Shruti, Anandita, there was Neeraj and all these guys who are in the office space with us. So of course, it's also the relationship that you share with co-actors. Srijit Mukherjee, I'm a huge fan of as a filmmaker. In fact, I've followed his work for many, many years now. His first film, Autograph, that came out in 2010, was in fact, and it was an homage to Satyajit Ray's Nayok. So that's amazing, and I've followed his work all along, and I've always wanted to work with him. So yeah, it's a rare privilege that it's the birth centenary of the master filmmaker who'd put India on sort of a global map with his cinema. And finally, the Netflix generation will get a taste of his writing through our anthology. So I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to this.
Ali, what has been your favorite film? Shweta just mentioned a couple of them. What has been your Ray's favorite film?
I mean, I've been saying this a lot. Um, I got introduced to Ray very late. Of course, I've managed to watch Pathar Panchali, which is the cliched answer, but I've watched it like over three, 4 times in my lifetime, and every time it's been a very, very different experience for me. So I think that's where I got intrigued. Of course, Shatranj Ke Khiladi is one of my all-time favorites. फिर उनकी एक शॉर्ट फिल्म है जो मुझे बहुत मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगती है, वो मैंने लास्ट टाइम भी मेंशन की थी. इट्स कॉल्ड टू, and it's just 12 minutes. It's on YouTube. You can watch it, and uh, I think it just simply, how do you say, just simply shows you, gives you a mirror of our entire society, and I suppose it even holds true today. But it's like it's like how Einstein said, right? Um, if you can explain it, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, then it's no good. So be it science and be it the coolest cinema on planet, if 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 you can't get that visual to seep in to everybody, then it loses the point. So I feel his movies, his frames did that. His even if you didn't understand it, which we didn't actually when I saw movies of his before, Bengali nahi aati thi, but you understand the narrative even by the visual. Of course, later we start getting subtitles and everything else. So yeah, this is my little exposure to Ray.
And how the transformation from Guddu? We're so used to seeing you in Guddu, and then now it's Nair. How did it all happen?
I mean, that's us, that's actors.
And what is your backstory? What kind of backstory homework did you do for this particular film?
I didn't. Shweta did all the homework. I literally latched on. I find people who do this, in the cast, and I'm like, okay, yeah. No,
That's
I mean,
a lie. That's a
no,
lie. He used to come so prepared on set. He had his little chips and notes, which I used to like peep into, like, what is he writing on the page? He
no.
comes very prepared.
I think what I do is I really honestly I do feed off a lot. I feed off people a lot, and this is in life. And I sometimes feel like I'm a bit of a cheat because I take from. I mean, yeah, you're in danger if you've entered my life and spoken to me 5 words. आपका एक कुछ लहजा ना मेरे साथ रह जाएगा लाइफ टाइम. वो कहीं ना कहीं निकलेगा स्प्राउट करके, कहीं किसी कैरेक्टर में या कहीं भी. But I think I'm a believer of finding our emotions in the moment, because because my imagination is a copy paste of visuals and my entire personal life. So sorry, this might be a little contradictory to what how Shweta prepares, but then again, we all have our ways, and I think I find the truth in that. And I think each word is a universe in itself. Each comma, each full stop is a clue for our entire breath work. मैं यार इसमें बहुत डिटेल में घुस जाऊंगा, तो आप ये मत पूछो प्रेप के. But I think physically, yeah, it's a little different. मेरे बाल लंबे हैं. We had a different kind of an accent, or at least tried to. Um, yeah, that's my share of. I think I did some work with Shruti that time. I remember we were constantly trying to read scenes in a different way. Shweta ke saath bhi humne we just tried to attack a few scenes which I think we read, maybe some scenes were really horribly, but or whatever. I think later it really helped because it helped us understand each other. For me, that is nectar.
And Shweta and Shruti, both of you did a very powerful role, but very silently powerful role. No fighting, no shouting, no throwing tantrums. but yet you all made your position felt, and you all did. It's a very powerful role, both of you. Shruti had her own stand, you had your own stand, and both of you, shout. Or how did you manage to do that? What do you have to say about the character? What is the best part of it?
Well, I think it was written that way. I mean, once you read the script, then of course it's the text and the way the director tells you how he sees the characters, and I think most of it is written on the script. I mean, once you read it, you just understand the journey of a particular character. Um, how did I approach the strength of the characters? I think as I said, they're written very in that way with a lot of strength, as is. Srijit sir's, the way he directs is very unique. So he doesn't explain you too much. He doesn't believe in too many rehearsals. It's pretty cool. He'll just he lets his actors do their own thing. Like, once he's cast them, he knows, what he has, who he's cast. So he just lets you be. He's very approachable, of course. But so I think there was a lot of, what do you say, spontaneous performances that were happening. I mean, personally, the first scene that Ali and I were doing, there's this scene that we were doing, and there were no rehearsals, and we straight went for take. And I was like, wow, okay, so you're already like that, you have to. It was very spontaneous, huh?
The hospital one, no?
Yeah, the hospital scene.
My God.
Yeah, that
Shruti.
was like.
Yeah.
You were there as well, Shruti,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, that scene. The three of us were there in that, and it was like, okay, we're just diving straight in. However, there was this one scene that's right in the end. I mean, I'm not giving any spoilers. Lakshmi, maybe you've seen the film, so you know the particular scene that I'm speaking about. There's this last scene, which there was a lot of my character Maggie. She just goes on saying something, like, she's telling something, and it was a lot of information. My only request to Shanton and Shrijit was that it was written in a male gaze, or, for the lack of better term, a neutral gaze. And I just wanted to make it a little personal. So I requested them if I can send them some notes of how I see as a woman that particular dialogue. And he said, go ahead, send me the notes. And he incorporated that in the scene, which was very encouraging because, as a female, when you read a script and you know that this is not written by a woman, it's written from a neutral or a male gaze. And he actually gave me the liberty to sort of make it my own and deliver it, which was very refreshing, very, very nice.
Can I ask you something? You said something before. What, written from a what gaze?
Neutral or a male
Try.
gaze, yeah.
No, you used something else. You said try. No.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I said
sorry.
male gaze that day. I said male gaze that day.
It's very. I thought it was a new word. Okay. Sorry.
Neutral gaze.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's it.
What is, yeah.
Over to Shruti.
You can go ahead.
The characters, the female characters, these characters, so basically, Forget Me Not is dealing with everything about a human mind and feelings and relationships. And when you're delving so deep into a human mind, you don't have to really necessarily show that much outside, and you can keep it. It's like a pressure cooker. You compress it, you don't let the pressure out, and it's just compressed inside. So that was something that I related to when with Amala. She didn't have to be out there. All her strength was inside, as her power, her feelings, everything. She's a dedicated, loyal wife. She didn't have to compete with anything. She didn't have to show anything outside. So her strength was drawn from the power of the relationship of her and Ipsit. This is what I kind of gathered by reading the script, the character. Yeah, that's what you were asking, right? Why I use.
I think what has been your favorite scene and the most powerful scene in this whole film that you think? It's a short film, but how do you think is the best one?
You saw it, right?
Yeah.
You managed to see some of it? I don't know.
I've seen the whole of it. I'll sing the whole.
मुझे इतना अजीब लगता है, if you've seen it, मुझे बड़ा अजीब लगता है कि मैं कौन सा सीन बोलूं and you'll be like, अरे तो बहुत गंदी एक्टिंग की थी तुमने उसमें.
No, you go ahead. You tell me which is the best scene. The end. Let me tell you, I like best was the last bit where Shweta is conversing with you and you have just a few expression and you're mumbling something. And you know why I did it. She says it in a very subtle way, yet puts a point across every step. Yeah, please go ahead. Your favorite scene, Ali.
One of my favorite scenes was, it's just a small scene actually. Probably nobody will notice it. Sorry, but it's me standing in my house, and there are two scenes. I'm looking at these awards, and Amala comes in, and she just rests her head next to me. I just feel like there's such unsaid everything. It's just a whole culmination of a family in there, right there in that moment. And even the scene where I run to, I don't know if it's there in the final, where I run to see I've lost my baby, and of course the housemaid is standing there with the baby, and I think I hold it. It's just that desperation of a father and a husband at the same in these two scenes, and I felt it's a fight inside, because all the other ones are they're self-explanatory, right? Like there's a context and there's drama or there's sadness or there's anger. This one was one of those tender ones which I really like.
And how much of Ipsit Nair is there in you, in the character? How much do you identify yourself? Some part of it, competitiveness, human computer.
Well, we're all competitive. I think we'd be lying assholes if we say, no, we're not competitive and all. Everybody is, I think. But in some way or form, not in a negative way. I think it's a beautiful word. But no, I'm not very similar to Ipsit. I think maths is the only common thing. I think I'm a bit of a lover of mathematics.
Any of the traits that you can relate to with Ipsit?
Just numbers, loving numbers. I like numbers. I like being on. I'm a bit of a time. How do you say? Time freak. Yeah, I mean, I have to. I honor time, which is very important for me. Yeah, I think that's one thing. But I'm not that kind of a person. God no. In fact, yeah, very interesting question, because I used to have a lot of moral issues on the set, with my director. I'd be like, nee, but why is he talking like this? Why is he so brushing this person off or this character off? And he's being this little power hungry. I mean, sure, we're all power hungry, but actors by nature are. But the corporate world and how we land up there and he starts behaving, or rather he's always been like this. I don't know. So that was a bit annoying for me. So, yeah.
And what was it like working with Spijit?
Very interesting. It's very I mean, from what I can tell from, I suppose, my little travels, he has a bit of a Woody Allenish way of working. Not that, not at all. In fact, like that. God, hope not. But
what way of working you said? I didn't get it.
Basically, he does not. He casts you, and he does not. He expects you to do the work. You know what I mean? I've cast you for a reason. Now act. A lot of actors look for कि वो मुझे ऐसे बताएंगे कैसे करना है scene, and we end up becoming one weird version जो आधा आधा हो जाता है. And a lot of directors do that, and I think it's annoying. In fact, if I could say this on a mic out loud on stage, it's annoying AF for any actor to get that kind of direction from any director. So Shrijit was a bit of a breath of fresh air. But yes, I remember day one, मुझे थोड़ा सा ना warm up करने में time लगा था, because I think he had a certain way he looked at, and then he opened up from his side, and I opened up from my side, and I think we realized what we both are bringing to the table in our own respective ways. So it was a very organic process, honestly, and that's how I think this particular film required to be, because everything else is so measured. The emotions are so measured. The relationships are so measured. The dynamics are so measured that outside of it, you have to let it be organic.
Ani, I just want to know, you've worked both in Hollywood, Bollywood, and but how differently does the two industries function,
Uh,
or similarly or differently? Anything to talk about?
well, I mean, I suppose we are all. It's all changing. I think it's all going to be merging very soon. I think we've lagged behind for a couple of years, and that's natural because uh, world cinema, in different parts of the world started way before us. If you go back to the history of it, of course, we हमने अपने पैरों पे कुल्हाड़ी मारी कहीं some few decades back, but I think we're back on track.
How
I
did
think
we do that?
I think cinema in the late 80s and 90s had really gone down. I mean, you're comparing this from to a golden period, which is the 1950s. We've seen a Ray era, we've seen Guru Dutt, we've seen, Rishi, I mean, endless directors and writers, and um, you know, there were so-called parallel cinemas,
Yeah.
as they used to call it, which was actually our main cinema. मतलब नसीर साहब कैन फिल्म फेस्टिवल नहीं जा पाए क्योंकि पैसे नहीं थे उनके पास. Al Pacino takes cue from him in Sparsh to play blind. I mean, these are things that were happening all under the radar. So, but क्या है ना, हम stardom में फंस गए, which is fine because we are a society that comes from hero worship. अब आप पूरा वैल्यू सिस्टम में चले जाओ, आप कल्चरल उसमें चले जाओ, so we love it. Even elections में हमें लगता है, people don't understand parliamentary system. We think one man is fighting one man. That's not how even our country works. But हमारी mentality वैसे work करती है. So I think that now is slowly breaking down because, of course, I think the Khans, held it up and they've ruled, and I'm a big fan. But I think somewhere we rest of a lot of cinema was.
Khans belong to the 90s only, but the
Of course, God, I belong to the
Khans
90s.
belong
I'm a 90s
majorly to
kid.
the 90s.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. मैं आज भी सीटी मारता हूँ भाई की फिल्म पे. तो ऐसा वो that is all kept aside. But of course, I'm talking from a standpoint where we are also trying to. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. We are starting to compare Indian cinema to world cinema or cinema out there, and some of us are part of it. So, in the same breath, you want to watch the coolest stuff, and yet we hold back on our side. So, I think it's only fair to want more. Okay, that's also fine.
You never aspired to be an star as in star anytime. Was it like this, or that kind of roles came to you where you can show your craft more than being a star?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, how do you see this? Like, if
I just want to know, because your roles are very different from a regular film. It's
but
not
see,
that
that's what. See,
you want to
if
be
I
a
go
star,
back,
you want to be.
if I go back a few years, like Fukre time, right? My mindset was different. My mindset was like, shit, अच्छा अभी ensemble film है, अच्छा अभी इसके बाद ना lead करेंगे, अच्छा इसके बाद ना box office hit होगा, इसके बाद ये होगा, इसके बाद वो होगा, and suddenly in the middle, and I get this one role in a Hollywood film, which is a chotu role, and then suddenly I'm leading a movie there, and the economy is very different, the democracy is very different. So suddenly I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, I've been chasing the wrong tunnel. The light of the tunnel, as they call it. No, my world will prosper and yours can too, and it's fine. पहले क्या था, अभी इसके ऊपर चढ़ के अपने को बनने गए, फिर इसके ऊपर number one कौन है? I think that's not required. I think all of us can be global stars, and that's what it is. I think we've been stuck. We've been fed the wrong notion while I was coming. Oh, मैं बहुत naive था. Sorry, I'm going on and on talking. I think you should hear from Shruti and Shweta as well. But um, I think that's where me working in international movies has helped me. That I don't get bogged down by um, the star or the so-called dream. I think in my way, I don't know, like Mirzapur start behaving like one 500 crore film, if I say, or the next movie that I'm doing is $100 million budget. I mean, no Indian movie has done that. Victorian Abdul, uh, it made about $80 million. I mean, if we start doing numbers, then तो फिर तो उस लिहाज से तो फिर you know we can it's going to be a wrong thing to do. So yeah, I think that's just a definition thing we have to change.
OTT as the future of entertainment. What do you have to say?
It's one of the futures. I don't know. What do you feel? God, you're asking me every question. I don't know what to say.
No, I'm asking everybody, whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, I think OTT is no. Honestly, no. I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, I'm a lover of the 70 mm. So मैं आज भी, in fact, we've just shot my film on film cameras, Death on the Nile. So I'm really hoping to watch it in the theater because it's going to be, it's going to be a magnificent spectacle, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
What do you have to say, Shruti and Shweta?
It's a you can't compare. It's a personal choice, but it's a way of connecting. This OTT has opened up such massive avenues for creators, for creative people, for actors, for writers, for directors, for everybody. So it's a great way of connecting performers and creators and creative people. That's what I got to say. I love to go to the movies. I love to go the whole experience, going and sitting and watching. That's where I first realized I wanted to be an actor, like sitting wide-eyed, like on big.
Yeah.
I think we all
3 or 4, or I don't know when I first saw my movie in the theater, and that's something that stays with you. So,
and I think that'll remain.
It will remain.
Yeah, it'll always be. In fact, Lakshmi, I'll tell you. Last time I remember, Shweta, I said there was a concept that was being launched right before the pandemic hit the world. It was a company called Quibi, if you know.
Yeah.
Quibi was only starting content at just 10 minutes an episode, and each one episode had some crazy investments of like hundreds and thousands of dollars, because everybody was investing in it, and even the premiere happened on a mobile phone, and that was the on the go content. So I mean, it's scary. So I think obviously it got shut down because pandemic mein sab band ho gaye and sabke paas time hi time tha, so that concept didn't work, but we're not far away from that also working.
Well, I think when we look at history, when steam engine came in or when cars came in, people said ships will cease to transport, when aeroplanes came in. So with science, you always feel whatever was the source of, whatever was the source, people will forget that. We still use emails, even if we have social media and we have WhatsApp. So I think some things don't change. Cinema will not change. Of course, our love for cinema will be the big screen. However, what the OTT revolution has done is, like Ali some time ago said that, he wanted to watch a lot of Satyajit Ray films, but they were inaccessible because it's a different language movie. There were no subtitles. Today with the OTT, we have so much access to good content, I think. And given the last year and this year, I mean, of course, it's not been 2 great years, but people have been consuming a lot of good content because we are in a country where regional cinema don't simultaneously release all over the country. So there are great Marathi films, great Bengali films, Malayalam, Tamil films, jo nahi release hote hain in theater simultaneously, at least, or as big as Hindi films are. Even Hollywood films would come after a few weeks or few months. Most of them would not release simultaneously. Forget a French or a South Korean movie. Today, however, you have Netflix and you have other OTT platforms where you want to watch a Korean drama, you have a Korean drama. You want to watch, French drama series, you can watch that. You want to watch anime, you want to watch Malayalam film, you're a Fahad Fasil fan, you want to watch a Mirzapur, you have everything on your multiple devices at home. So I think OTT has definitely filtered content viewing for audience, and that's why it sort of paved path for actors like us. Today, I don't know any actor or any technician who's out of job. Everybody's working. Everybody's working
That's nice.
because earlier, you know, as an actor, I either thought like you either have movies where you're like jo mil raha hai kar lo ya to mat karo, don't do these, or you have TV which is a more regular work, it's better income, but now you don't have to make either or choice. Today you have OTT which is offering you great work. They are doing great promotions and it's great content, and these are character driven. They're so character driven. It's not hero heroine, heroine ki dost, hero ka dost, and you know, people like that. It's not like that anymore. There are writers, right? There are great writers. They are investing. OTTs are investing in good talent. There are writers room out there, so of course it's a great revolution in that sense. But yes, I do miss the cinema. I mean, if I have to watch a Lagan or a Mad Max Fury Road, yes, I will watch it on the big
Oh,
screen. You know, yeah, yeah.
What do you have to say about the hope? People are losing hope. What do you have to say about that?
Sorry,
The
people are.
newcomer losing hope.
Oh,
Newcomer
I think
actors.
Yeah.
no, she's talking about people losing hope. Oh, newcomers who are losing hope.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Not only in the entertainment industry, across industry.
Everywhere. Oh, I think everywhere. Yeah, it is. It is a very bleak time. I think that's
Your
what's
message.
happening.
Your message.
Actually, it's you know, don't lose hope. You know, we had put some chives outside, garlic chives. I remember Richa telling me, and you know, she thought the seeds didn't. They were not working, and suddenly they started shooting up after a few days. So you know, sometimes you just need patience and just water it, and you know, you'll sprout. You never know. The times are bleak. The weather might not be the right one right now, but it'll pass. Because we're all part of a big, huge cycle. It has to pass. That's just inevitable. You can't. So yeah, good times should come.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you, Shruti, Shweta, and Ali.